All right, so I'm doing Eboo. So I got an IV in this arm. It's pulling blood out. Look at the color of the blood here. It's pretty dark. Then it goes up here. It goes through the pump. It goes into the filter where it gets oxygenated and filtered. And then it comes out of there and runs through the light system, which puts light into it, and then it takes that out of there into the other arm. And if you look at the color, you can see the color here is so much darker than this because this is oxygenated blood. Pretty cool, huh? I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the intro for this video and were like, what the fuck is going on and why? So let me explain. The procedure that I was having done there is called Eboo, E-B-O-O. And it stands for extracorporeal blood oxygenation and ozonation. And it is a process where you take blood out of the body and you run it through a filter. And while it's in the filter, you're able to oxygenate it. And then you run it through a red light, and the red light stimulates certain cells within the blood, and then you put it back into you. And while it sounds freaky, this procedure's been around for, 100 years. And one of the, it's part of a broader family of treatments called apheresis or phoresis, where you take blood out of you and you remove something and you put it back into the body. The most common one that people know about, of course, is dialysis, which we've been doing for people with, kidney problems for forever. But there's different types of pheresis, like plasmapheresis removes plasma. There's a handful of them. I think there's about 7 or 8 different ones. There are 2 new types of pheresis. One's called the HELP protocol, one's called inospheresis, which are both interesting. And I may do a video on what those are and why they're different than Eboo. All Eboo's really doing is it's running your blood through this dialysis filter, and while it's in there, it pumps it full of oxygen and then runs through the red light. But it should have a ton of benefits for long COVID sufferers like me. And so the first one is just the oxygenation. So, and this is similar to what I'm doing with my hyperbaric oxygen chamber, is I'm just trying to get more oxygen into my blood. And the reason for that is twofold. One is to reduce inflammatory stress within the body, as well as stimulate mitochondrial function. And so if I can stimulate more mitochondria upregulation, then in theory, I'll be able to solve my ATP problem or my ATP production problem. In addition, the anti-inflammatory benefits are going to calm down things like your dysautonomia and your inability to do things like regulate temperature. It also is a vagus nerve stimulator. And so, if you watch my pulsetto video, you'll know I am really trying to think about vagal nerve stimulation and all the benefits that it would provide. I think another issue that many long COVID sufferers have is that their capillary responses in their blood are not working the way that they should be. And so that's how you'll develop issues like POTS, which I have, and it causes me to faint all the time, and it fucking sucks. But that's due to a lack of capillary function and circulatory function. And one of the things that Eboo is thought to do, and there's some science around it that would support this, is break down the microclots in your body that are caused by long COVID. And then by breaking those down, you're able to increase functionality of the circulatory system. And so, for me, I'm always worried about 2 things. Like, how do I reduce the symptoms? And then how do I reduce viral load? And viral load sort of addresses root cause. Symptoms just make it so I'm not fainting all the time and I'm not, crippled with pain and fatigue. So one cool thing about Eboo is it is also a viral side. And so there is some evidence that it fights
virus cells and more effectively. Now, the question is, does it fight long COVID viral cells? And there's not a lot of scientific evidence around that. I will say, when I do the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, particularly if I can go a full 2 hours in it, I come out feeling pretty good for a day or so. When I do Eboo, I come out and I feel better, but it lasts longer, like more like 4 or 5 days or even a week. Now, the downside of Eboo is the cost. It's, I don't know, anywhere from $900 to $1,300 a treatment, depending on where you go. And there's also a couple of things that there are some risks. You know, you are taking blood out of your body and messing with it and then putting it back in. So obviously hygiene is key. The other thing that's critical is to administer heparin into the lines too. So you're not getting clotting as it goes out and hits oxygen and comes back in. Last thing you want to be doing is like trying to shove blood clots back into your body. If you treat with heparin during the procedure, then you've removed the risk of clotting. And there is one big Eboo advocate, who I will not name or publicly shame, who's put a bunch of videos out about showing him pulling clots out of the blood and saying, look at how great Eboo is. It's pulling all these clots out. No, it's not. It's not doing that. It's pulling out regular blood, and then when it gets out of the body, then it starts to clot, and you're not treating it with heparin, and so it's pretty misleading. So there is a little bit of not every Eboo practitioner is created equal, is I guess what I'm saying. And what you want to do is, if you're going to do this, I would reach out, do some research, and try to figure out who is reputable in this space. I will say, while insurance won't cover it, it is a medical procedure. So if you have a health savings account, like I do, you can use that and at least pay for it with pre-tax dollars, which is helpful. So anyways, I would encourage you to give it a try. I'm a big fan. I am gonna do another video about these other phoresis things, which basically just use different filters, targeting different particles. The problem is that the two that are showing real promise for long COVID just got approved for FDA trials in the US. So they're not quite as readily available as Eboo. Eboo is pretty available. I guarantee you, unless you live in the middle of nowhere, there's a few clinics by your house that do it. But as I mentioned earlier, they're not all the same. So do some research, make sure they are putting heparin in it beforehand. Not everyone runs it through the red light either. I think the red light is, I've actually never done it without the red light, so I don't know, but my theory would be it's not going to hurt anything. So why would you not do that and try to get more cellular activation of, blood cells? So anyways, that's Eboo. I'm Whooping Long COVID. Catch you later.